If you haven't seen it, recently Odds posted a video about discordants attracting Nemesis zombies, and it seemed like most people didn't know this, which was surprising to me because I thought this was pretty basic knowledge and why he used it in his 50 win streak. Then I realized that most people don't have an ungodly amount of time spent on this walking innuendos, so I figured I should probably make a video explaining this in a small amount of detail. For those of you that don't know how the zombie chase system works, it's best explained as a 3-state system. The state most people are familiar with is the chasing state, in which a zombie has actually seen or heard a survivor. This is when they raise their arms to try and chase down and attack the survivor. The second state is the idle state, where the zombie wanders around aimlessly until one of the other two states is triggered. The third and final state occurs as an optional intermediary between the other two states, and is what I call the investigative state. The zombie enters the investigative state whenever they hear a loud action or noise within a set range that is slightly larger than the normal detection range, but also in a full 360 around the zombie, but do not have direct line of sight on the survivor who triggered it. Primary cause of this state is the loud noise indicator created by survivors when performing any of the following actions: dropping pallets, fast vaulting, failing skill checks, destroying hooks, reaching 3 AFK crows, unhooking survivors, or activating certain perks. The killer perks that can attract zombies are Eruption, which attracts zombies when the generator blows up; Tinkerer, whose loud noise notification when a generator reaches 70% can attract zombies; Hangman's Trick, which admittedly only works sometimes, but is kind of pointless anyways because they go to broken hooks regardless, but it does sometimes attract zombies whenever a survivor starts saboing, so it's going to get mentioned here. No Way Out, which isn't that useful either, as the loud noise indicator occurs inside the gate and not on the switch, which cuts the range that I can pull a zombie to the gate down by a good bit, but it still can attract nearby zombies to the gate area, so once again it's getting mentioned. To a more useful one, Hex Thrill the Hunt creates a loud noise indicator whenever a survivor starts cleansing an active totem, and that loud noise indicator can alert zombies and bring them to the totem, potentially keeping that totem alive for a bit longer. And finally, Discordance, which is definitely the best out of all of these, as it repeatedly makes loud noise indicators, which acts as almost a homing beacon for zombies even after its initial activation. It's also important to note here that only loud noise notifications attract zombies. So snapshot auras from perks like Iron Maiden, Hoarder, Rancor, Spies from the Shadows, and Infectious Fright do not attract zombies, and neither do the accompanying screams. When the investigative state is triggered by a loud noise indicator, the zombie will drop their current state and proceed to where the loud noise indicator is, unless they gain line of sight on a survivor, at which point they will begin chasing the survivor. With one exception, but we'll get there in a second. And while this sounds like something that only benefits killers, survivors can very easily use this to their advantage. To start off with, the survivor perks Diversion, Red Herring, and Flashbang can all be used to create loud noise indicators away from the survivor. However, Flashbang is normally best used just to blind the zombies. Diversion, aka Pebble, is also one of the few exceptions to the way this whole investigative system works, as it seems to give the survivor who threw it a very brief window in which they are undetectable to the zombies it distracts. This is very fragile though, and seems to be lost when you perform basically any action except for crouch walking. Survivors can also on certain tiles break the zombies' AIs using the investigative state by intentionally getting it stuck on map terrain. I won't be discussing how or where to do that in any further detail because it is most definitely an exploit that can be really frustrating to deal with as the killer, but even just knowing about the investigative state and how it works as a survivor, you can seriously improve your chase potential against Nemesis by allowing you to predict when the zombies will join the chase, or potentially distract a zombie from another survivor that it's currently chasing. It's also worth noting that the investigative state explains a lot of the strange behavior that is sometimes observed during chases, such as zombies sometimes losing interest in a chase to go check out a nearby window. When a zombie does this, despite what your first impression may be, they're not actually looking to see if the short bus has arrived to take them to school, and instead is investigating a loud noise indicator that occurred after it lost sight on the survivor. It could very well be possible that standing between the zombie and a survivor while the survivor fast faults could potentially cause the zombie to check the window instead of the survivor because it technically lost sight of the survivor. However, I can't really confirm that, as testing with the zombies is like trying to herd cats with no hands. With all that said, happy hunting.